And welcome to episode 88 of the Red Leaf Retrocast. Your host, JD, joined by all my amazing hosts, plus K from the Wrestling Podcast. Joey, how you doing today?
Hooray. Doing all right.
Yeah. Can you speak closer into your microphone so the wonderful listeners can hear your sultry voice?
No, can't do that.
Ah, there he is. There's my buddy. Did you survive the amazing winter that you've had?
Hey, it was cold for 3 days.
Yeah, enough to shut everything down for a little bit.
Yeah, that's the only time I went below freezing.
Yeah. Kay, you're here. What's going on, buddy?
I am. Nothing much. A lot of wrestling, a lot of gaming, you know.
Yeah. Why are you here?
Why am I here? I ask myself that every day. I think it's because I picked the theme for today's episode, the Pocket Monster clones, the Pokemon clones, but not mainstream like Digimon ones, right?
Yes. That is correct. We have titled this Monster Collectors. That is the theme for today. Basically, all the games that aren't Digimon and Pokemon that require collecting a bunch of monsters and utilizing them in battle. And Colin, you're also here. Save the best for last. Don't feel like you were left out on purpose.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I had to isolate at home for the past 3 days because my mom had a sore throat and thought I had to go for a COVID test, and so we all had to get stuck in the house. So that was so much fun. But test came back negative, so now we can go outside again.
Well, there you go. Problem averted then.
Yeah.
It's not like there's anywhere to go anyways. Although I did go to an outside brewery on Friday after work.
Ooh.
Yeah. Kind of hung out with a work colleague. We discussed some strategies for the works and the stuff, and thought it was very nice to have a beer outside for the first time since, July at least. It's been a hot minute. So I'm taking a lot of pleasure in just the smallest of things these days. Oh, I get to be outside? Oh, sun! Oh, vitamin everything! Give me! That's what I've been doing. A lot of video games, a lot of Phoenix Wright. I'll get into that in a second.
Ooh.
Yeah, but I'll go last. Kay, have you been playing any of Vigi games?
I've been trying to go through the Pokemon last DLC they made, the Crown Tundra. I have given up for the first time on a Pokemon anything.
Uh-oh.
I can't tell you how frustrating it is to find locations on a map that is super samey. And unlike the rest of the wild areas where you can more or less, it's like a straight line with a few branches, or like the one in the main game where it's just one big circle. The Crown Tundra has a bunch of branching paths everywhere with hidden locations to find legendaries, and everything looks the fucking same. It doesn't help when everything looks the same, and big giant Pokemon, like the bigger versions of Pokemon, like the big elephant and everything, they pop into the world randomly, and you can't avoid them because they pop in and they're big, and the hitbox on them is very large, so just trying to move around them, you think you're clear, but you hit them anyways. It's a pain. I don't like it.
Sounds like a problem.
It is a problem.
Yeah.
And Persona 5 Strikers. Yeah. That's what I've also been playing.
Oh, well, do tell about PS Strikers.
It's a direct-ass sequel to Persona 5. I did not expect that, actually.
Oh.
Like it to be pretty much like where you left off, just a year later. And because it was a Muso game, right? It's done by Koei Tecmo and the Omega team over there. So I was expecting, Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah.
Right? You just hack and slash, and oh boy, it's not that. It's way, way better. It's just a Persona game.
Really?
Like full-on Persona game. Like you walk around the town a little bit. Granted, it's a little more limited than the actual main game, but you can walk around the town. The battle system is Muso inspired, but you can stop and use personas and get to like higher vantage points to do sneak attacks and everything. There's dungeons, dungeons not in normal Dynasty Warriors games. So I have a feeling Atlas helped make this one, because this does not seem like that Omega team, because they don't ever put this much effort into it. Even when they had Zelda, they didn't put that much effort into it.
Oh, that's really interesting, because when I first heard that it was just going to be a Muso-style game, I was like immediately checked out, but you've reinvigorated my interest in the title.
Right. Well, you have to have beaten the first Persona game. At least you don't have to play Royal, because apparently this was in development before Royal came out. So they don't really mention the true ending Royal stuff, and characters from Royal don't show up in it.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's good for me,
Yeah.
because I don't have Royal.
But yeah, I mean, Royal is it's okay. I'm not too big of a fan of some of the stuff that it does at the end there. Some of the stuff is a little unnecessary. It's good though. It's very, very good. All the character redesigns are awesome. I like how it aged the characters up a year. They look better, more fresh. It's good. It's definitely a game that I didn't expect it to be as good as it is so far.
I'll add it to my little wish list then for Switch. So, you did get a PS5 though. Supposedly they do exist, but you helped a scalper, you bastard.
I did get a PS5, and in my defense, I was watching a bunch of videos and looking up a bunch of statistics, and literally that's probably the only way anyone's gonna get one for the next year to 2 years potentially, because there's so many of them. There's more sold than activated. I think the percentage is like 30-70, something like that. Like 70% of 70% of PS5 stocks have not been activated. 30%
Seriously?
of them roughly have. Yeah, so it's alarming. And as a result, I've noticed some scalpers have, not all of them, but some have dropped their prices because they have more stock than they can sell, and people aren't buying them at $1,000. So the one I went to, I made sure I vetted everything I could to make sure I didn't get getting it scammed. I found an eBay buyer who had been on the site since 2004. He had a purple star thingy, which I looked at what that was supposed to be, and that means they're a super seller. It means they've been selling for years, and eBay has endorsed them essentially.
Oh, okay.
And he was selling one PS5. He has two, but he was selling one, and he was going to wait until that one sold before he sold the other one. And it was like $800 bucks. Which, at the same time, is about how much you'll be paying for like the GameStop bundles, which are kind of the easier ones to get because they change the SKUs on them whenever they put them on the site. But those ones don't get nabbed as fast by the bots. But those are about $800 because you get like 2 controllers, games. They always bundle stuff into it to sort of give it a different SKU. So I was like, okay, I'm fine. Bought it. I made sure I got everything so where I didn't get scammed. I went through PayPal, so if I didn't get it, I can just refund my money immediately by putting a dispute in, and I got it. It works. It was not open. Everything was in the wrappings and plastics and everything. So it was a good deal on my part, at the very least. So
And it's a big boy.
I want the digital one, but because he didn't have the digital one, beggars can't be choosers. It's the disc one, and the disc one's a big boy. I thought it was big. Like, I knew it was big. I didn't expect it to be as big as it was. It feels like, I think the plastic on it feels kind of cheapy, almost. The big white fins feel like really not high quality. They don't feel like they're super low quality, but they feel like they could break easy if you're not careful. That was the big thing I got when I was sort of putting it in the nightstand area that I have it on. I don't know why they had to have those fins on it. It was kind of a dumb design console thing.
I think it looks cool.
I mean, that's my only complaint about it, is that the fins feel like they can break pretty easily.
I guess we'll find out when we start hearing people break them, but I guess not a lot of people have it. I still haven't seen one in my with my own 2 eyes. I think you're lying to me. There's no way you actually bought this thing. It does not exist.
Does not exist. Well, I had to get it when they announced the Final Fantasy VII Yuffie DLC was going to be exclusive to it. I was like, well, I need to buy one.
Yeah.
Like, immediately.
Well, it's weird because all my video game money is going to the Switch, so at least Nintendo's getting my money these days. I bought limited run games. I bought No More Heroes 2 for $30, so that was nice. And I made a pre-order. This was like a month ago, but I haven't mentioned it on the podcast yet. The remastered remake, whatever it's called, of Cotton, an old side-scrolling shooter game on like the TurboGrafx and Saturn and whatnot. So got that on strictly available games. You know, the special physical game copy stuff that's on there. So I'm excited for those two. I got I mentioned prior, but Joey, you weren't here. I got Dragon Quest 11 finally on the Switch, and it's the definitive edition. So I got a lot of games to play. I'll probably play Persona 5 or 3 or all the Persona series. I got a good list of just these high-end story-ridden games to play throughout 2021, since kind of come to terms that probably not going to get a PS5 this year. So I'll just play a lot of things that I've wanted to play for a long time, and my Switch will get a lot of love this year.
I recommend Persona 3 and 4. Those are very, very good.
Yeah. Colin and I played a good decent amount of the beginning of Persona 3 once upon a time.
Yeah, I beat both 3 and 4 on my own time. Still have to play Golden. That's Persona 4 Golden.
Yeah.
Golden's great. It's the best port of that game.
I don't think I've played a Persona game.
They're really good RPGs. A lot of
Very
lot
good
of
RPGs.
lot of good of the anime in it.
A very anime. Oh, some might say too anime.
Yeah.
As long as you can bang your hot teacher in it, I'm all good.
What?
You could do that in like 2 of the 3 games,
See?
technically.
Best games. Yeah, you heard me, Joey.
What? That kind of makes me not want to play these games.
Speaking to your mic, Joey.
I'm speaking my mic. It makes me not want to play these games.
What are you talking about? Listen, you can't just romance teachers. You can romance your fellow students. Some of them are probably best girl, so.
Yeah, that doesn't interest me.
Well, what does interest you, Joey? What have you been playing?
I've been playing Loop Hero.
Loop Hero. Oh, that's a new one that came out.
Yeah, it's like a roguelike.
Never heard of it.
Because it just came out on the 4th. So I guess 10 days. Wow. I put a lot of time into it. It's roguelike, but it's more of like an idle type roguelike where your character goes around a loop and fights things automatically. You can only control the gear that it has on. Eventually you start getting some skills that you can choose from, and then you can place down different tiles for what they attack and like terrain stuff that gives you more items. And then your goal is to survive the loop and eventually kill the boss, but you can leave if you get back to the camp. So you can go back to your village and build it up so you get stronger. So it's just kind of this endless loop of getting stronger to kill more things, to get more things, to kill more things kind of thing. So it's a lot of fun, though. It's addicting, which you wouldn't think it was, but it's just, you play for it, the next thing you know, it's like 3 hours later, you're like, oh shit.
I was kind of like that with one of the games on our theme today, where I just found myself playing it for a couple hours, and before I knew it, 3 hours had passed. I'm like, uh-oh. Gotta get to bed. What am I doing here? So, cool. Loop Hero. Sounds interesting. Colin, did you already mention what you were playing?
No, not yet.
Well, go for it, buddy.
Well, I've been playing through Control.
Ah, yes. Beautiful.
And so far, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I mean, as one guy on YouTube put it, the premise is basically Jean Grey visits the SCP Foundation. And I think that fits quite well. Yeah, it plays like Uncharted with a little bit of Gravity Rush in there with the ability to telekinetically pick up and throw objects. Although here you can only grab one at a time. And I kind of like that, because near the beginning of the game, you get this special gun that only the director of the Federal Bureau of Control that you're exploring, only the director can use that. And one of the notes you pick up implies that same weapon took on the form of other legendary weapons throughout history, such as Excalibur. So that was kind of a neat little.
Oh, I forgot that little detail.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty neat. And yeah, I like the graphics. I like the setting. It can be a little samey at times, but it's not to the same extent as something like System Shock 2.
Mm-hmm.
As we went over last cast.
Yeah, Joey was not here for that cast.
It was just us two.
He was hung over.
I'm pretty sure I was still drunk at that time.
That's even better.
What was the drink of choice, Joey?
Something called Rumplemints. Apparently, it's a industry favorite around here for people who work at bars because it's super strong and minty. So it's disgusting,
Oh,
Oh
great.
man.
but it's
It
cheap
sounds
and
disgusting.
strong, and that's what everyone who works at a bar drinks. And I was out with my friend who works at a bar, so it was gross, very gross.
Well, you did definitely pay for it the next day.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, getting back to Control, my one big complaint with the game is that the facial animations and designs suffer from major uncanny valley syndrome. I don't know if Remedy used facial motion capture or not, but the way everyone looks here is just off. I see that one lady in the executive office. The way her face is animated just looks really, really weird, like Mass Effect Andromeda weird.
My face is tired.
Yeah, pretty much. But aside from Control, I've been playing more of Cosmic Star Heroine, and I'm too lazy to come up with a smack joke right now. I've gotten to the point where my team has gotten themselves an actual starship and can now explore the neighboring planets a la Mass Effect. So that's already opened up a lot of possibilities for the game. But at the same time, I've been pretty addicted to One Finger Death Punch.
Mm-hmm.
For those, for the sake of Kay and Joey, that game is basically you're a stick man fighting other stick men with the coolest martial arts moves ever, using only the 2 mouse buttons to attack. And it's super addicting. It's just something I picked up on a Steam sale one day, and it's a lot of fun. And I finally started playing a bit of Smash Bros. Ultimate on my Switch.
Oh, hey. All right.
I only just started on Friday, so I've only unlocked like 5 characters. It's
Right.
Like Sonic, the Inkling from Splatoon, Starwolf, King K. Rool, and Ness. But yeah, that game's pretty fun.
We might have to get online together and have a nice little Smash Ultimate session.
The
Sure.
online for that game is pretty bad. That's why I stopped paying for
When
my
was the last time you
thing.
played it, Mr. K? Hmm?
A year ago. And
Well,
Nintendo's
then it could
online-
be better now, couldn't it? I think all 3 of us should go, and then Joey gets it for his Switch and takes it away from his woman, and all 4 of us will play and smash each other. Don't take that out of context.
I mean, listen, you gotta pay extra for that, buddy.
No?
Yeah, well, I've got a headset that has a mic on it, so we could still talk to each other too.
Or we could just hang out in Discord like we're doing now.
That too.
Wow, brilliant idea.
I don't feel like using Nintendo's proprietary little app for voice chatting. Not an idea that I like to do.
Doesn't matter. All right. I think
Yeah,
we'll have to
that's-
put away a good little Smash session, and the winner gets an extra theme pick. How about that?
That means I have to buy it.
Yeah, it would mean you had to buy it, Joey.
Well, I got plenty of ideas, so that sounds like a fun thing to do.
Maybe the winner gets to pick all the games. Ooh.
Thinking
Don't
the
give me
short-
that kind of power.
short-
Oh boy.
And Joey's like, I'm broke, guys, all of a sudden. Spent all my money on those slippery peppermint nipples or whatever they were called.
The peppermint nipples. Yep.
All right.
Yeah, that's pretty much everything I've been playing.
Well, I am on the very last chapter of Phoenix Wright.
Hooray.
The game we played for the podcast not too distant long ago. But Colin, you kind of convinced me to, fight through that 3rd chapter. I think I only got to the second one, or I played through the 2nd chapter, but I ended up starting over again and replaying some of the little stories. The first 2 are very enjoyable, easy to play. The 3rd one really dragged. It had its moments of fun and funny, But yeah, the whole Turnabout Samurai thing, not the most interesting story in the world, and apparently the original game ended there. And when it went to the DS,
it ended on Case 4.
I thought it ended on 3, and Case 4 was added to it on the DS.
No, Case 5 was added to the DS. Case 4 was where it ended in the Game Boy Advance version.
I see. Okay, so the copy I have on the Switch is the original Game Boy version.
It only has the 4?
Yeah. Maybe
Huh.
it has 5. Maybe I'm mistaken. I don't know. Well, Case 4, nonetheless.
Yes.
Our boy Edgeworth may have committed murder. Gasp. And it's connected to the let's see, his father was brutally murdered, and he was in the case of DL6, which are Maya medium chicks. That's who their mother was implicated, and she died shortly after. So the big connection. And I've got all the clues together. Got to save Edgeworth. An earthquake really gives a nice little indication of his personality, and that'll play into the case. The trial's about to start. I'm very excited. I'm definitely way into Chapter 4 here. So Phoenix,
Yeah,
right?
And it only gets better from there. Trust me.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a long, drawn out case. So I'm sure there's going to be like at least 3 or 4 days of the trial.
It's very much a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'll try to have that game beaten by the next podcast episode. And guys, when was the last time you felt despair?
Oh no, despair.
This
The
weekend.
Joey, the journey is over. If you believe it, I beat Danganronpa. I know this means a lot to you, Joey.
It means oh so very much.
Yes. God damn, that game was long. Holy shit. It's like a
Yeah,
40-hour game minimum. It was
No
insane.
kidding.
So,
Yeah, I think
go on,
I think a
Colin.
lot of that had to do with all the circular dialogue. People repeat stuff so much in that game.
Yeah, it got utterly ridiculous. I just found myself kind of skipping through dialogue at a time. And, oh boy. So, it's a little convoluted in areas. My original kind of feeling with who the mastermind is, who the 17th student is situation, I always had in the back of my mind that the model chick at the very beginning never actually died. And technically, that wasn't true, but it also was true. And then when they introduced in the middle of the story that extra character, I'm like, okay, somehow they're gonna play that into what's happening with the big reveal. And then it revealed the bio refrigerator where they keep all the dead bodies, and one was missing. I'm like, okay, yeah. And everything, the pieces were put together, I think, pretty well for the most part. There was still some kind of just coincidental story plot ridden things that were in there that was just kind of a don't worry about it moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when they revealed that the whole world was destroyed and amnesia, I'm like, yeah, that's very anime of them. Yeah, of course it was. So I'm like waiting for the punchline of like, why did the world get destroyed? Don't worry about that. We got a trial to do. That's yesterday's news. As Kay knows, don't worry about it. That's not important to
Don't
the
worry
now.
about it.
That's for later. And so I did like the crazy character at the end. What was happening with her? The rhythm game was unbelievably difficult in that last
yeah.
trial. That was quite frustrating. I did have to put it down to easy mode after I died like 5 times in a row, just in record time. It was just doosh, you're dead. I'm like, oh great, I'll never be able to accomplish this. So, yeah. Long game, a lot of circular dialogue, very much a lot of rinse and repeat, but at the very least, the characters were very fun. I thought they were going to play into maybe there was a character in cahoots with the mastermind but it didn't play out that way to the extent I was thinking. And it left the game on a good little cliffhanger with X and X and X and X and X and X leaving the school finally to a destroyed world. So we'll see how that plays out, if ever or never. And then I got the good ending, so Monokuma is still around, kicking. So leaves it up for a sequel. Think it's gonna be a hot minute before I play the second one. I definitely would rather play like a Persona game or the second Phoenix Wright game. You get the idea. So one more game off my checklist for 2021. I'm up to 4 games beaten this year so far, complete. So Death Stranding, House of the Dead, Metroid Fusion, and now Danganronpa. So kind of a 1 game a month, fully complete kind of deal. And then all the games we play for the podcast. So not on the same pace I was last year because quarantine quite helps that out.
Yeah.
So yeah, good stuff. Anything else you guys want to talk about? Add?
I mean, just that I've beaten the first game a while ago, the first Danganronpa, and have started the second one and have not got out of the first chapter because dialogue and a whole bunch of it. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have to dedicate a section of time and mindset to this game like I did the first one, and so I don't feel like doing that right now.
Yeah, maybe the sequel to 999 would be more up my alley. A game Colin just doesn't like. There's no audio to prove that he likes any of those games. Never. He never cosplayed any of the characters before. No, that never happened. He'd in fact punch people that would dress up as those characters. His visceral hatred for the 999 series is well documented. Yeah.
Almost as much as I hate Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, fact. Look, don't reveal your gimmicks, Colin. Come on. Gotta play along. All right, so I guess I'll play the Pokemon drop and we can talk about monster stuff.
Actually, could we mention the System Shock remake quickly?
Oh, sure, yeah. Go for it, Colin.
Yeah. Yeah, as anyone who listened to the last cast knows, we covered System Shock 2 last cast. And holy crap, I'm repeating myself now. Thanks, Danganronpa. But yeah, we mentioned... JD mentioned that the game needs a heavy facelift to really keep up with modern game sensibilities like ours, and it seems we may have at least partially gotten our wish because System Shock 1 has been remade and it's set to launch this summer. I mean, there's even a teaser trailer on YouTube. And if the first game has been remade and if it's a success, then chances are we may get a remake of System Shock 2. So that should be a lot of fun. Sounds like it's actually coming out on both PC and consoles, so I'm guessing it's been retooled to be a little more along the lines of BioShock. And BioShock's a great game, so it should be fun. And the studio even got a bunch of industry veterans from the production teams of Mass Effect, BioShock, and Fallout New Vegas to help make it, so I think it'll be pretty damn good.
All right.
Anyone else have any thoughts?
I'm curious to what Joey thought of System Shock 2. Or some of the other games he didn't get to talk about on the last cast.
Well, maybe it'll make you sit in suspense. But no, I like System Shock 2. System Shock 2. I can't talk. It was fun. I mean, I liked most of the games for the last podcast.
Oh.
I like sci-fi horror games, so... And plus, I really like Alien Trilogy. I don't care if it doesn't hold up. I had a lot of fun playing that back in the day, so there's a lot of nostalgia on that one for me. But yeah, I mean, sci-fi horror is kind of my thing, so I really liked them.
Alrighty. Well, with that, monster time. How appropriate to play the Pokemon drop for a theme of monster collectors. Kay, this is your theme pick. tell us why you came to pick the theme, what you were hoping to accomplish with the theme, maybe one of the games that you were most looking forward to, and why, I guess, to be specific, why take out Digimon and Pokemon as part of the theme requirement?
So, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this here, but I am a longtime Pokemon fan. I've played every game, and it's a series that I've always liked. So, when I was thinking of a theme, I remember when I was a kid, there was a bunch of Pokemon clones that would come out, right? Digimon was one of them, even though it kind of wasn't, right? But there was a bunch of other games that were sort of aping that trend, right? That were trying to mimic in some way the monster collecting of Pokemon when it, became so popular in the 90s. And I remember a few came off the top of my head, like Monster Rancher, which is we're going to recover, and a few other ones that, like one you could scan things and barcodes and stuff. That was another one that I remember coming to mind. And so I was wondering how many more of them exist and wanted there to be a theme. And so I decided to take the obvious one out, that being Digimon, because, I mean, if we could just pick any of them, at least one of us would have picked Digimon. And I don't think Digimon's an exact clone anyways. I think it's always because the Mon's in the name that everyone just assumes it is, because Digimon games have always been very, very different than Pokemon games, so I've never really got the comparison between the two outside of the Mon being at the end of each of their names. As for trying to accomplish things, I don't know. I don't think I had that much thought in it outside of just maybe wanting to find how many more games mimicked Pokemon so heavily after it got popular. But the one I was looking forward to, though, is SMT, or Shin Megami Tensei Last Bible, because I do remember playing that about, 5 or 6 years ago, and I don't think I ever beat it, but I remember being very, when I was going through an SMT rabbit hole after I got introduced to it finally through Nocturne, I was all about this game and a few other ones, so I wanted to see if it still held up about 6 years later. Me.
Well, there you go. And with that being said, let's get into, the game you just mentioned.
Yeah, Last Bible. So, Shin Megami Tensei Last Bible is a JRPG developed by Multimedia Intelligence, Transfer, Sega, Menu, and published by Atlas and Sega for multiple platforms. Game Boy Color and Sega Game Gear were the two that the original one came on. Its English title, though, is Revelations of Demon Slayer. Japanese title is just Shin Megami Tensei Last Bible, which I think is a better name. But given that it was in the 90s and the whole Bible can't do religion in my video games craze, they changed the name. This game, but in 1992, it shows. I don't remember when I played it 6 years ago. I don't remember it feeling so archaic, but that could have been just because it went down a giant rabbit hole where I was playing the original SMT, which is also a very old, archaic game. This game was so difficult. I was like, I think I died the first couple enemies. I couldn't recruit demons for a while there because I forgot just how old system for recruiting demons was much more difficult because there was very little indication on what you needed to say to recruit them.
Mm-hmm.
So, the mechanic in SMT games, mainly, when you recruit demons, is you have to have a conversation with them. You can just battle and kill them all, but that's highly discouraged because you'll just solo the game, and most of them are incredibly difficult to do that with. So the idea is you find a demon, you can either choose to talk to it, or in some games you have to weaken it to a certain extent, then you can talk to it. And the idea is they'll ask you a question, they'll make a statement or say something, and you have to respond appropriately. You get 2 of the 3 wrong, they don't join your team. They'll battle you depending on what you say. Like if you upset them, they'll just start attacking you, and their attack usually goes up in some games. This is very much the same thing like that. I'd say Last Bible was kind of more of a mixture of Dragon Quest and SMT. Like it's kind of like a bit of a blend of the two in a weird way. Man, I'm so used to the other games having at least some indication on what you might have to say or how they'll react to certain things. And this had none of that. And so it made it much more difficult. And I only played about maybe 30, 40 minutes of this game before I was like, I can't. It's just way, way too archaic and difficult, and getting around it, it's way too much of a pain. It's definitely showed its age, that's for sure.
So I actually quite enjoyed this game. Yes, it was definitely difficult. I kind of put myself in the mindset of the era. So I actually had a piece of paper, and I was writing down the monsters and the branching dialogue paths. The issue I had was more that the dialogue was very repetitive, So you would just find yourself writing down the same dialogue sets over and over and over again, and then just matching the right path to the monster and hoping you can recruit it eventually. So that's kind of the idea there. I actually thought the overworld was more like a Final Fantasy than a Dragon Quest, and then it got
Makes
into the first person fight sequences, much like you would in, say, Earthbound or Phantasy Star in those senses. And in that sense, the recruiting and battling with monsters was very much like Dragon Quest. So it kind of takes liberties from a lot of other games of its era and tries to spin its own uniqueness on top of it all. And I quite enjoyed it. I played the Game Gear version. That came out a couple years later. There is a patch for it, as you made it clear. So the Game Gear version I thought looked fantastic. I thought it looked much closer to kind of a Genesis or Super Nintendo title. So if you're able to get kind of a Game Gear patch of this, that's the one I would recommend. And if I'm looking up how long the game is, it goes for about 15 hours. So for an RPG, that's not incredibly long. I mean, shit, I just played Danganronpa, and that was 40. So the Game Boy Color cartridge goes for about $60. It has gone up in price. I'm not sure about its rarity. So this was surprising. I'm slowly getting more into the Shin Megami Tensei universe. UK have got us into a couple other games from the series alone, along with the big Persona fan. So I think you have a taste here, okay?
Well, I do. I very much love these games. Most of them are very difficult. I find when I'm in the right mindset, I enjoy the difficulty because there's usually like a rhyme or reason to get around things. Like Nocturne's the best example of that, where pretty much the name of the game is buff and debuff. You want to do a lot of buffs and debuffs and evasions and stuff like that. Otherwise, you'll just get smashed by everything. That can carry you through about 70% of the game. So stuff like that's what I like SMT, because the games are hard, but once you figure out the systems, they become quite enjoyable. And the stories are always very dark and interesting.
Yeah, they're very unique stories. I can't really think of many other games that kind of mimic its sense of storytelling. Joey, how much did you play of this hard, difficult game?
About 20, 30 minutes.
Okay. Well,
I couldn't get any friends. Nobody wanted to join me. They all hated me. And it made me sad. But overall, I actually like this game.
Okay, you had a good joke of one of the dialogue sequences earlier before we were recording. What was it?
It's like, will you love me unconditionally? And if you say no, they just join you.
No, great.
I was like, awesome. I was like, okay, sure, I guess.
Yeah, obviously the hidden super secret dialogue past that is spit on me, step on me, please.
Well, that's a little bit further in the series. Don't you worry. there is a game where that becomes a dialogue choice for certain demons.
Yeah, I mean, I have my insider information with the last Bibble here. So, Colin, what'd you think?
Well, I should probably start by saying I barely touched any of these because these past couple of weeks at work have been unusually draining for me. Heck, last weekend I even forewent my usual weekend exercises to get my energy back. So I probably won't have much to say for a lot of these. Plus, I should point out this isn't really a genre I'm particularly into, because when it comes to games with combats, I generally like to do the fighting myself. I like to fire the guns, swing the blades, punch the faces, etc. I'm also fine with having a team around, so long as they're always around on the same plane of existence and not in some container or separate parallel dimension. Maybe I just don't like the idea that I'm tearing my allies away from whatever leisure activity they happen to be doing at that moment. But Persona's different because those monsters come straight from your own psyche. Therefore, if you're battle ready, so are they. But that being said, I watched a Let's Play of the Game Gear version of this, and was having some... You say Dragon Quest, I was having Undertale flashbacks.
I was about to bring it up. Undertale, I think, takes a lot of liberties from this series.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Don't know if I wasn't sure if it was directly inspired by it, but I wouldn't put it past the devs. But it seems to do it well. Then again, this is a Megami Tensei game. It's does the same thing as Persona 3 and 4 in that the magic names are all in their Sanskrit versions, like Bufu is ice, Zio is lightning, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Never really got that for like the English version. I mean, at the very least, they should have like a sub screen saying this is a lightning spell or this is a fire spell or something. I think that's what Tokyo Mirage Sessions did.
Right.
Well, I think some of them do. Like Persona definitely has like an indicator next to like a lightning symbol, like a Garu, the wind one has a green like arc to it and everything. I think most of them do that now. They've done that for some time now. SMT, PS2 games at least did it.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've played any Persona, so I'm not sure. But seems like a bit of a grind-heavy game, which I'm not too big of a fan of. But
is there confirmation
overall,
that the Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne remake is coming to the West yet?
I haven't seen anything outside of the port when it went to Japan. The port for Nocturne on the Switch is a bad optimized port. And so that people have just said don't buy it right now. I don't know if they'll fix it, or because the issues seem to be a lot to do with the engine conversion to the Switch. Because a lot of it's like dropped frames, freezes, and stuff like that. So it seems a lot of it has to do with the engine it was in. If anyone wants to play it and they have a PS3, there is the PS2 version of the game on the classics. That's like usually $20. I highly recommend that one because it's just a direct one-for-one port, and it has Dante from the Devil May Cry series in it.
ooh.
Okay.
Well, I don't have much else to say, so I'll just give it a soft pass because it seems competently made, at least.
Yeah, I give the Game Gear version I played a pass. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm passing it. I like the music in it too.
Oh, the music's phenomenal. I really like it.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I was surprised when the music hit. I was like, okay, all right.
I'll pass it as well. I enjoyed the game. Even it's difficult. It's an SMT game, so I already knew that it was difficult. I just didn't put the time in to hit my head against the wall enough to get past it all. So it's usually on me, not the game itself.
Okay. And your second game pick, Kay?
So my second one is a trip. So it is Yu-Gi-Oh! Capsule Monsters for the Game Boy Color. Now I'm looking stuff up for it, and what it tells me isn't correct because I had to look other things up for it. So it's a game that was released. It says in 2000, but I've also seen 98 and 99 as dates. So I'll just go with 99 because that seems more plausible for this game at the very least.
Uh-huh.
I mean, who was releasing Game Boy Color games in 2000? Right? Outside of like what, Pokemon? Most of them were going to the soon-to-be Game Boy Advance, I think, right? So this game is a sort of top-down strategy RPG based on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise, but instead of sort of cards, you capture the monsters in capsules. Obviously, it goes without saying, it was published by Konami and produced by Konami because Konami owns Yu-Gi-Oh! So this game, I couldn't find the English translation version that I remember seeing or playing many, many years ago. Because there was an emulator for it, and it had a patch for the English translation. So I ended up having just to play the Japanese game. And from what I look at it, it looks like it's based off of the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Not the card game original Yu-Gi-Oh! Not Season 1. I'm talking like when they were just playing games, board games, card games, and other games, and Yu-Gi was just like straight taking people's souls. The game opens with Kaiba having the Millennium Ring, which if you know anything about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, makes no sense. Why he would have the Millennium Ring, or why his soul would be in a Millennium Ring, makes no sense. He has green hair like he does in the originals, and like
I was just gonna say.
So that's what tipped me off that it was based off Season 0 stuff, because he has green hair, and well, that's the only version he has green hair in. So I played like 10 minutes of this game. That's all I could. I mean, listen, I didn't understand what was going on. I could kind of get the mechanics. Could tell it was old ass Yu-Gi-Oh! Some of the monsters looked old design wise and looked like before. Like the Blue Eyes design looked like before the card game became a thing, which is weird because the year this game was supposedly released, 98, 99, or 2000, the card game was in full swing. So no idea why they chose to base it off of the old stuff, but it's fine, I guess. Wouldn't recommend it though.
So I played this with. So there's a guy on YouTube that you can watch a Let's Play of, and he's translating the game in real time as he plays it. So I had, the game in front of me, and I was going along with him. It was very easy to follow along. It is. Imagine if Pokemon had an RTS board, and there were dice rolls to do damage. Not my favorite battle system by any means. It's very uninspiring. It's just dice roll, RNG happens, damage done, and you kind of move on. And you rinse and repeat that formula. There are a couple Let's Players that have done Nuzlocke with this game, which sounds insane. And how you recruit. It definitely needs a lot of polishing. It would be interesting to see a remaster of this game, because I don't think the English is really what was holding it back. It was just how engaged I felt, and I just didn't really feel it. I played it for about 45 minutes, put it down, and I just go, you know what? Played enough. Not into the whole dice roll, and that's a good chunk of the system there. If the gameplay itself wasn't engaging enough for me, then it gets a fail. So how about that for a quick review? There is a PS2 game that came out. I'm not sure if that's a port that came later.
No. PS2 game is a completely different game based off of the anime series. So the Capsule Monsters Coliseum it takes some of the same mechanics from this game, but it's a completely different game, like unrelated completely.
Okay. And being that it's Game Boy Color, it doesn't seem like it's that long, so I'd probably peg it at 10 hours or less. So, Joey, your thoughts?
Well, couldn't find an English copy. Couldn't find an English Let's Play. So the little I played and saw, I didn't like.
Oh, okay. Simple enough. Fair enough. Same for you, Colin?
Yeah, more or less. I just watched a few minutes of a Japanese Let's Play. I kind of skipped around so I could get an idea of what the gameplay was like. And I remember I did a little research because I remember really liking Yu-Gi-Oh! For a while, although I never ended up watching it all the way through to the end. Although I still love watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged. And there's also an abridged version of Capsule Monsters, which still unfortunately remains unfinished. But when I read up on the Capsule Monsters miniseries, I found out it was only released in the US because it was commissioned by 4Kids. And yet this game seems to have only been released in Japan. And like Kay said, it's got more in common with the season 0 of the series than the mainline series. I guess the guys at Konami just got lazy. They didn't really look into what Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually was overall. But
Konami owns the Yu-Gi-Oh! IP, and they've made every single one of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Games, as well as the card game and the anime. They helped fund that and produce that.
Well, that just makes it even more confusing.
Yeah, Konami has they own the Yu-Gi-Oh! Property even to this day.
Go figure.
Pretty simple.
From the video I watched, it kind of reminded me of the Card Stadium minigame from Final Fantasy IX, but with a bit of Dungeons and Dragons dice rolling to the mix.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I see that.
That's just the vibe I got.
Didn't even think of
Yeah,
that.
from what I saw, it really didn't look that interesting, other than maybe wanting to know what the story is supposed to be for laughs, if nothing else. But yeah, I don't think I'd want to play this even if it was in English, so I gotta fail it.
Yeah, pretty easy fail.
Definitely failing it.
Yeah, I'm failing it. It was not good.
Joey.
my game, if you want to call it that. Magic the Gathering BattleMage. Came out in 97, made by Acclaim. It's terrible. It is absolutely terrible. I don't know about you guys, but the menu didn't make any sense to me.
Oh no, horrendous.
Trying to get through things and figuring out how to actually play, or when you go through campaign and that dialogue shows up and you have to like click around to try to get it to go away, but you have to scroll all the way down and then click a couple times inside of the chat to make it go away, and none of the buttons on the bottom, and it's terrible. Everything about it is bad.
The way I would describe this is everyone's familiar with the cards Magic the Gathering, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
collecting the
I know of them.
cards, got some cool creatures, got some cool environments, got some cool status effects, you know, all the thing. Imagine you have all those cards and you just kind of go, you know what? Age of Empires. Let's do that instead.
Huh.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. And
Terrible thought.
then the thought process was, we don't know how to make Age of Empires. So
Do it anyways.
do it anyways. Bland backgrounds, a UI that makes no sense.
No sense.
And then they go, maybe we should put the cards in the game now. So they throw them all at the top of the screen. You don't know what's going on. You have no idea how to play. And then after 30 minutes, if you even get that far, you go, you know what? I don't want to play this anymore. This is very bland, it's boring, and nothing makes sense.
There's a lot better ways to play the card game.
Yeah, that is Magic the Gathering BattleMage. And according to price charting, the game goes for about $10. I think that's $10 too much.
Way too much.
That's my review of this game. Fail.
Oh, it's definitely a fail. This is barely even a game.
I don't remember the last time I played a game where I put it down in less than 30 minutes.
Well, I mean, could you even get started? It took me a while to even figure out how to get a game. Stupid menu.
Joey, I was playing a game in Japanese, a language I don't speak, and I was having an easier time with that than this one.
I literally had to pull up the video to see how someone got past the dialogue, because I was like, I don't know what the hell's going on. Like, I have no idea. I was clicking everything, and the only giant color button just quits you and takes you back a layer. Like, why is the gem the back button?
Oh, fantastic. Colin, you love this game, I bet, didn't you?
I watched like 5 minutes total, and I couldn't make heads or tails of what the hell was going on. I mean, the best I could gather was that it was like a video game version of the tabletop card game. I really don't know how to play that one. I mean, I've played it once in my life, and the rules and regulations have since leaked from my brain.
Well, there you go.
I mean, the visuals look kind of cool, but aside from that, the game holds none of my interest.
See, I disagree. I think the visuals were also pretty ass.
Yeah, everything just seemed to be the same color for the most part. It's just ugly.
So we all fail it.
Yeah, I watched like 5 minutes of gameplay as well.
You were in the Colin section of that one.
I watched 5 minutes of gameplay because, like, I played a bit of the other games, and since I also was busy with my job, I couldn't put as much time as I wanted to in some of these, and also the wrestling stuff we cover. So I had to juggle my time accordingly. I'd forgotten about this game until last night, and you're like, "Hey, it's just watch a YouTube video." I did. If you said the colors are bad, yes, because the colors are ass color. That's what it is. It looks confusing. I don't understand how anyone played this game. How anyone enjoyed this game. No one spent money on it.
I'm sure there's somebody out there.
I was looking at it. I was like, I don't even know what half of this stuff is. Like, I've played Magic for a long time. And I'm like, I don't even recognize some of these portraits of characters or things at all. So, that's Jace? No, it's not. Shit. That's a little like Jace? What are you telling me? And, like, the cards. They're like, oh yeah, that's right. It's a card game. Card backs. Put them at the top of the screen. Hey guys, IP is secured. Game is terrible.
All right. We all fail it. Fantastic. So we're on to my pick. And you know it's always... I have a good track record with picking games, guys. I know we're all in agreement with my success in game choices. So I'm proud to say I picked Jade Cocoon. This has been on my list to try out for years. It is developed and published by Genki, so everyone's all happy. No, just me laughing at that joke. All right, cool. Platform was PlayStation, released in North America in 99, the end of 98 in Japan. Its full title is Jade Cocoon, Story of the Tam A Mayu. Huh?
What?
Tam,
I think it's Tama Mayu.
no, it's Tam and Mayu.
Tam and Mayu? When did Stardom link into my video games?
It's my joke. Tama Mayu. It's an RPG, and it's developed. So it's a RPG with virtual pet management, and it's in collaboration with Katsuya Kondo, a character designer for Studio Ghibli, particularly Kiki's Delivery Service. So, if you're into the anime and you love the Studio Ghibli character designs and monster designs, boy, is this game for you. It is.
Hell yeah.
I was so shocked that this game was only one disc. When I started playing, I'm like, there's no way. So there's an interesting way they go about the pre-rendered backgrounds and the just insane amount of voice acting in this. Again, not expected. A fantastic soundtrack and battle music and sound effects throughout this game. So what they did was there's not a lot of places to run around in the world. It focuses, so for example, there's a village, right? And instead of you running around the village in real time, it brings you up to an overview of the village, and then you click on the next area you'd like to visit. So for example, the forest gates, let's call it the blacksmith, and you just go to a UI and you just go, I want to go to the blacksmith. Takes you there. It loads pretty fast, a good decent amount of time, which also kind of surprised me because it's a disc game in the 90s. And there's just a tiny little kind of 1 or 2 section area to run around and talk to people, and that is how they got a workaround to this being so short comparatively. So I was very impressed with that, how they were able to manage what they wanted importance to be for this game. So the plot is it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. It kind of reminded me of the movie Nazca Valley of the Wind. If you guys have ever seen that movie.
Yep.
I see what you're talking about. Yeah, I got that. I also got the Ghibli designs too. That made sense. So that hit me immediately. I recognized the character designs. Yeah.
So a village group of people, a certain bloodline can sort of interact with the animals more. There's a big lore to it, background of why kind of the forest has this mindset of its own to kind of go against the people, and then you go into the forest and you kind of recruit these beasts, if you will. They're called Cocoon Masters, and they have a big lore behind that as well. I played probably 5.5, 6 hours of this game in total. And I think I got like halfway through. I'm looking at how long to beat, and it says the main story is about 12 hours. And I am very much locked into the story. Maybe the monster collecting could be a little bit more interactive. So the way it works is kind of similar to Dragon Quest in a way, where you fight the monsters, weaken them, and then you can capture... Actually, it's more like Pokemon, now that I'm saying it out loud. But you attack them like you would in Dragon Quest, but you can only have one person on the screen instead of your whole team on the screen. And it's full-on, like Final Fantasy 7 and 8 polygonal battle mechanics while you're on there. And I
was thinking more Final Fantasy 10.
You're thinking 10? Yeah, because you can switch the characters out in battle accordingly. But the only way
Not
to capture...
just that, you can also give the creatures commands to do stuff.
Right. But you can only capture the monster when you're physical character is on the screen, and that way it functions very much the same in that regard. So pretty simplistic battle system to it. It does make all the sense in the world. I thought it was pretty easy to get a handle on things, and then you just kind of play out the story. I love the artwork in this game. It's phenomenal, pre-rendered backgrounds and the character designs. I was super into it. What did you guys think? Who wants to go first?
I'll go. When I started the game up, right? My first thoughts with that intro was, oh hey, Legends of Dragoon.
Mhm.
That's the first thing that came down with the music and sort of how the backgrounds were looking over the text and everything. I was thinking Legends of Dragoon. I was like, oh, I'm down for this. I love Legends of Dragoon. Anything like this is just right up my alley. Well, it's nothing like Legends of Dragoon, but
No.
I immediately heard the dialogue, like the voice acting. Listen, voice acting at this point was very rough. So my first thought was, oh no, turn the volume down, please. Because some of the voice acting was a little grating for me personally.
Yeah, it sounded like a lot of muffled voices half the time.
Right, and the female protagonist character, the female character's voice was very grating. I was like,
Oh, you didn't
no,
like
no,
it?
no, 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 no. I was not a fan. And that little kid and everything, I was like, no, no, no. Gotta turn his volume down a little bit.
Louis, die in a fire.
There you go, right up my alley there. But I enjoyed what I played. I only got up to a specific point. I think I put like maybe an hour or two into this game. I enjoyed what I played. I definitely want to go back and play it if I ever get around to going back and playing it. I have a giant back catalog of games. I keep saying that about and don't do. But I definitely have an interest in this game. I went ahead and just bought it too. I just bought it on eBay, so I should have that coming in the next couple days. But I enjoyed this game for what I played of it.
There's a really cool monster kind of breeding system in the game, and it's simple enough where it keeps you engaged. So and it shows you kind of the heritage paths of it, which is really neat. So you can combine two monsters. It creates a new, stronger monster. You can combine two of the same monsters to kind of level it up. Decent little system there. I was quite engaged with it. Unfortunately, it's for what I know, I don't think it's on the PlayStation Network, or at least not in its current form.
I don't think I could find it, but I didn't. I just kind of went to eBay and got it because I figured it. It didn't strike me as a game that was on the PSN.
Okay, it's only in Japan. It's only on the PSN in Japan, kind of like how Intelligent Cube is only in Europe.
Except on the PlayStation Classic.
Oh, right, yeah. That's a different conversation though. So, Joey.
I didn't like it.
Oh, why? All right, do tell.
A lot of things that you praised I did not like. It made me feel uncomfortable with the flat background and 3D characters. It just felt weird, like you're running around on a green screen. I didn't like that at all. I didn't like the music because it overpowered. Like, if they would have cut out when you're doing the flute to capture things, it would have been nicer. But now you have the flute playing with the battle music, and it just doesn't work well. So I did not like that. But other than that, the mechanics of the game were fine. The background and the music just wasn't doing it. And the long, like, intro prologue thing. It took, 40 minutes to an hour to actually get into the game.
That is correct.
So that was a little too long.
It's definitely very story heavy.
Yeah. So those aspects just made me not really like it. I thought the battles were fine, but everything else about it I just couldn't enjoy.
Aw, I'm sorry to hear that. Gotta mention the control scheme. It's like I was playing Silent Hill or Resident Evil. Not sure why they made that choice to go about it, but here we are. Yeah. I'm giving it a nice pass. I hope to continue playing this game, and it got me really interested in the sequel, which let's see how much. So Jade Cocoon goes for about $20-$30, depending on what kind of copy you get. Let's see how much the sequel goes for. I'm very curious. Jade Cocoon.
Funny because I bought my copy for $27 and it was in very good condition. accordingly.
Jade Cocoon 2 goes for about $20. So depending on how the rest of the game goes and how it finishes out, I might be interested in the sequel here. So that game's 6 times longer, apparently. It's like a 50-hour game. So, all right. Do we all pass it except Joey?
I didn't really get to say much myself. I mean, of course, I pretty much said everything I said or wanted to say.
Mhm.
And of course, I didn't realize, like we said about the Studio Ghibli artwork, I was pleasantly surprised because I never realized they did work on any video games before Ni no Kuni. So that was a nice surprise for me.
Well, they
And-
didn't. It was just the character, one of the character designers from Ghibli was involved. Just the one dude.
Yeah, either way. It's like, if there was any game I would want to buy from all 5 of these, it would probably be this one. I mean, it looks like a fun game. I mean, if I had the time to sink into it, I'd definitely go for it. But yeah, I passed this one.
All right. And Colin, your pick for the last game.
Yep. I picked Monster Rancher on the PlayStation. Developed and published by Tecmo and released on the PlayStation on November 30th, 1997. And the way this works is much like Pokemon, you pick from 3 starter monsters to decide how you're going to go the rest of the game. Like, picking your monster is essentially picking the difficulty level, because one monster is very easy to tame while another is very hard to tame, and then one's right in the middle. And
Mhm.
I just watched a let's play of a guy who picked the middle monster, and it seems to, it's basically like you're raising your monster. Like, you'll have it do jobs like go into the forest to look for mushrooms, or haul a cart to the market to both increase its stats and get some money, so you can upgrade your little homestead in order to have new ways to raise your monster. And I like the idea of it, although not enough to really fully capture my interest. It's like, it's really a matter of personal taste. Like, the raising and development of the monster is a lot more involved than with other games, like, say, Pokemon or Jade Cocoon or whatever else. It's not my thing personally, but if that sort of thing floats your boat, this should do a pretty good job of fulfilling that. And it's got kind of a quirky intro. I mean, the intro is done in the style of an old-timey black and white silent film, and the way it's done is pretty funny. Just kind of feels like a Buster Keaton short. But I don't really have much else to say. I only watched like maybe 30 minutes. And I don't know. What do you guys think?
Joey?
Actually, I kind of liked it. Although, in the beginning, the tiger, it's not a tiger. Why is it named Tiger?
Don't worry
Why?
about it.
And
Don't worry about it.
I didn't like
Nah, it'll be fine.
I don't like the random camera movements during the battle.
Oh, horrid.
That got really annoying. Like, every time they attack, let's switch to their perspective and go back to the middle. And they could have just did like a steady camera and it would have been fine. But other than that, I like the game.
I thought this was boring. It's more like Digimon, and it's a breeding animal sim more than focused on anything else in the game. And the fighting, when you do go into this little coliseum, Joey mentioned the camera, atrocious. I just could not get into it. I thought a lot of the monsters were not very inspiring. What this game gets a lot of kind of the cult following in it has this very interesting system where you can throw in any music CD and it will take a song and create a monster based on that kind of metadata to it. So that's where this game gets its big following. It has such a unique and interesting idea to it all, and it led to a lot of its success, I feel. That's the appeal to it, and unfortunately it does not appeal to me. The game goes for about 20 hours-ish. It is more on the expensive side. It goes for about $35-$40. So I personally wouldn't pay for that. Yeah, I'm not into kind of breeding simulation type games leading to horse races. I got to one of those. I was like, what am I doing here? I don't think there's no real story into it for me to get invested. I'm very much into my stories in 2021. That is where my flavor's at currently, and this just didn't appeal to that taste I'm at. Maybe I'm just not in the right mindset for it, but I was definitely bored. Just kind of put it down after an hour or two, and I just went, you know what? I see the appeal. I see the uniqueness. Not for me. So I pretty much fail it on that.
So when I was thinking of this theme, this is one of the first games that came to mind. One of the first, I could think of the show, the anime. That's what comes to mind first for me, right? See the little eyeball guy with the, what's his name, Skeel or whatever they called him in this game. And so that's the only thing that came to mind for me. That and some game where you scan barcodes and do the same thing, which I just don't remember the name of that. And that seems like a trash fire anyways. So when I played this game, I was a bit shocked to find that most of the monsters out of Skeel are like dinosaur, wolf, tiger, a bear. I'm like, that's boring. You couldn't come up with anything more creative. Like, you have this one eyeball guy, and he's kind of cool. Like, that's kind of an interesting design, right? Then everything's just like, the dinosaur man. Yeah, dinosaurs. That's a monster. Go ahead and call him Dino. I immediately was off put by that. I chose eyeball Skeel guy because I thought that's what I recognized. It's very much Digimon, right? Like, you gotta feed them, breed them, and have them go battle. I didn't get far enough to battle them. I just kind of had them doing mundane tasks, got bored, and stopped playing.
Yeah, it's almost like Harvest Moon, except with lame monsters.
I just got really bored. I got like, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and I was like doing this, go feed them, go do manual labor to get stats. Like, this is boring. And it doesn't help that the music and the backgrounds are all bland. All of the backgrounds feel like generic RPG. Anyone else get that too?
Yeah, I got that.
It felt like they had a cool concept, but put the bare minimum effort into everything else outside of the one character, that Skeel guy. Was like the most unique design that they made in the entire game. There's a reason, I guess, there's why he's in front of all of the marketing that I saw for it.
Right.
He's the only character that has an interesting design that's not dinosaur or bear.
Yeah, that would be funny. Monster Rancher, bear.
There is a bear. I ran into I was looking up stuff for it because I was like, come on, they can't all be honest. There's a bear. It's just a full-on brown grizzly bear. Alright, cool, I guess. I mean, they have a green dinosaur, so what was I expecting? What's next? Fish? Gonna get a fish and a bird? So I couldn't. I played like 10 minutes and got bored. This game sucks.
Yeah, very disappointing. I've always heard a lot of good things about the Monster Rancher series. So maybe the sequels, they improved a lot of aspects to it. That remains to be seen. This was my first experience diving into the series, and I was pretty disappointed. So hopefully the sequels are better, if we even choose one of them. There's a theme I've had in mind for a while that we could possibly tackle. So, Joey, you passed it. You're the only one that liked it.
Yeah, I passed it. I didn't hate it. I thought it was better than Jade Cocoon. So,
okay.
I mean, it was simple. I don't think it was bad. I can see why people think it's boring, but I enjoyed it.
All right, fair enough. Well, our 5 games chosen were Megami Tensei Gaiden Last Bubble, Yu-Gi-Oh! Monster Capsule on the Game Boy Color, Magic the Gathering BattleMage on the PlayStation, Jade Cocoon on the PlayStation, and Monster Rancher on the PlayStation. So a lot of PlayStation and Game Boy Color. Kind of a funny little sequence there. Kay, your theme, favorite, least favorite, and your grades for each game.
So my favorite would be Jade Cocoon. I think that was one that I went out and bought the game for Christ's sake. I thought this was the one that was more interesting. Least favorite, I guess, from the ones that I played, since I can't really go with the ones I watched videos for. So I would say BattleMage, but since I didn't play BattleMage, I'll just say Monster Rancher is probably my least favorite.
Oh, okay.
Grade wise, I'd give Jade Cocoon an A. I'd give Last Bible a solid B. But I think most of the failings are on my end from not putting enough time into it, trying to figure it all out again. Monster Rancher gets a D. BattleMage gets a F.
Ooh.
Failure. I'm forgetting one of my.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh, yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! That gets an F too. Couldn't play it in Japanese.
Oh, it's Mr. Harsh over here. All right, Joey, how about you go next?
Okay. Least favorite, Magic.
Yeah,
Classic.
classic.
Unplayable. Favorite, probably do Last Bible.
Okay.
Score wise, Last Bible a B. Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm gonna give a D. I was thinking F, but I mean there is a game there. I just couldn't play it myself, but there is a game. Magic F. Jade Cocoon I'm gonna give a C, and Monster Rancher I'm gonna give a B.
Okay. Colin, you're up, buddy.
Favorite, Jade Cocoon. Least favorite, BattleMage. And for tiers, Last Bible gets a C. Capsule Monsters, D. BattleMage, F. Jade Cocoon, B. Monster Rancher, D.
D. Okay. Yeah, it goes without saying. Favorite, Jade Cocoon. Least favorite, BattleMage, Magic the Gathering. No bueno there. I'm going to be with everybody but Colin on this one for Last Bibble, giving that a B. Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm with you guys with the D rating. Like Joey said, there is a game there. I just didn't feel like there was anything really to it besides the monster catching, and it was very repetitive. A shocker, straight Fs for Magic the Gathering. Jade Cocoon, I'm going to go with K on this one. I'm giving it a nice little A grade. So I think that gives it an upper B. So we'll round up to an A for Jade Cocoon. And then Monster Rancher, I'm going to give it a C. Just because I didn't like it, I think there is something respectable there with its uniqueness. Just because I'm not into the whole simulation aspect of it. It's not broken in any ways, so I can't really go lower than a C. And I think that puts it at a C as well. B, a C, 2D. Yeah, so it's a C overall. Jade Cocoon goes A. Magic goes F. Yu-Gi-Oh! D. And Last Bible is a B. So, not bad overall. If you would like to see our overall tier rankings, go head on over to redleafretrocast.blogspot.com, where you can see our tier listing of the year so far. You can also see the past tier rankings of last year when we really started this little venture. And we got our next episode already picked out, Dungeon Crawlers. So that should be a fun one.
I'm excited for it.
That's going to be a blast from the past there. I am very we kind of broke the rule a little bit for one of the games, and I think that's okay. You can't do a dungeon crawler without one of the more famous games that ever existed in that genre. So, man, that's going to be a fun episode.
Yeah.
See you in 2 weeks.
Bye.